Hello everyone, this is Matt Rule, and today I'm going to be discussing with you some documents as well as a PowerPoint example that I share with my students. These specifically are going to be related to a product design class that I teach my 8th graders at the middle school level. As I said, I'm going to be sharing with you two documents and then a PowerPoint example of what I want them doing. And as I go through these, I'll be discussing some ways that I think they are easily accessible to my students at different reading um, and just ability levels, and some ways that they could possibly be improved upon. This first document that you can see on the screen is for my students to develop a corporate identity. What they need to do is described in the little excerpt at the top there. It says you will need to develop a corporate identity for your business. Your corporate identity is what allows people to know and recognize your company and products. And then I explained that they will need a company name, logo, and slogan. Those are the three components that make up a corporate identity. I have them bolded just so they know what they are. Uh, in the readings, it said that you could possibly change the color to make them more recognizable. The reason I didn't do that is because they are broken down in the next sections as we work our way down through the document. So the very first component there is brainstorming, coming up with three options for a company name, then three options for a product name, then moving into developing a logo for their company. And then finally, at the bottom is brainstorming possible slogan ideas for their company as well. So this is a pretty straightforward document looking at some of the online accessibility handbook suggestions. I think I did pretty well on this document. I have good headings. I have the entire document being pretty uniform as you look down through it when looking at the headings and bolding. I do not have any images incorporated into this document, so that is one way that I could possibly improve upon it. I do not have any color emphasis either, so it is pretty much a straightforward document. But if I move on to my second example, I have a couple more of those that I'm missing here. Once the students develop their corporate identity and all of those required components, I actually have them move on and begin actually making a advertisement for the product that they are going to be trying to sell and market. And with those advertisements come some requirements, and I have at the top, each company is responsible for advertising a product they are trying to sell. In order to advertise that product, each company must create a Google slide that includes the following information. Then underneath I have a list of what those requirements are. They need to include their company name, they need to include their company slogan, their company logo, their product name, product price, a picture of their completed and built prototype, ordering information that would include how do the people order their product, who do they need to contact, what information do they need from them, as well as my final requirement is the use of color. I have a note down at the bottom in red that says the picture of your prototype should be the focus of your advertisement. The second most important item is the cost. If people are interested in those two items, they will look for the ordering information, company name, etc. So I have that indicated in red here at the bottom, so it jumps out to the students to make sure that they see that side note, and it's also identified up here in the list in red as well to make sure that students understand that those are the most important components. I also included a picture over here. I don't have any underlying text explaining the picture. That was mentioned in the readings as well. But going back to some of the things outlined in the accessibility handbook, I do have clear headings. I do have an organized list that's also uniform. I did use a color down here in the word color, as well as identifying important or key components that the students need to know. So that's another example of a document that I share with my students to try to convey information about what they're going to need to do for their advertisement. Moving on to my last document that I'm going to be showing you, it is an advertisement example. I have them use Google Sheets to do this because it's very easy for them to interact with this software, and I also have them share it with all of their group members that are a part of their company. It allows them to work collaboratively on this document as they put together their advertisement. And this is just an example that I show my students that incorporates all of the required components that were just listed on the last page. I show my students here that I have my company name, which would be Creative Chromebook Covers. I have my company logo, which would be C3. My slogan that I developed is "We've Got You Covered." Down here, and this is the main focus of my advertisement, is the actual picture of a prototype of what the people would actually be ordering. And the second most important part is right here, that it is only $10, along with my product name, color options down here, and then I have a designated area to the left right here on how to order, that they would contact Mr. Rule. I have included a link to my email address, and then I also explain what is exactly needed from the buyer, which would be their name, discovery teacher, number of items, as well as their color choice, and then I list them there. And I have a visual representation of the color options on the right hand side, and then I list them at the bottom on the left. So that's just an example of that I provide to my students so they can get a better idea of what I'm looking for, good ways to design and make their advertisement attractive rather than just putting all the information on a single space and just throwing it all together. They want to make sure that they are making it appealing to the buyer and that it does look attractive and well thought out. So with this, I did include a link for my uh, email address in terms of the accessibility handbook. I included pictures on this as well, lots of different color options, and just a different way of conveying the same information that I covered in the previous document. So looking at the Universal Design for Learning guidelines, the first section there of engagement, I think some of the components that I incorporate into these is optimizing student choice because they are in the corporate identity developing their own company name, company product, logo, as well as slogan. So it is very customizable in student choice, as well as optimizing the relevance to the students since they are developing it for their own company and their own products. I also foster collaboration and community by having them work in the collaborative Google Slide to put together their advertisement. The next section in the UDL would be representation. Some things that I think I cover in these documents as well is offering ways of customizing or displaying the information since they are the ones putting together and designing their advertisement. I think that is something that is covered. To clarify vocabulary, since we're talking about the different components that they would need to include, such as their company name, logo, as well as slogan. What do those mean? Illustrate through multiple media by having them complete this form as well as then move over and work on the collaborative document to put it all together, as well as information processing and visualization by putting together the information that they've developed into their advertisement. The last section was action and expression. Some things that I think I cover is the use of multiple tools for construction and composition, as well as facilitating managing information and resources. Um, and then finally, from the Rice readings, focusing on the tier 3, I do not incorporate any type of text reading or read aloud components in this since it is currently taught in the face-to-face setting, so I go over and answer any questions that they have. But one thing that I could incorporate is having the information read to the students, and I will be able to, in this video, incorporate my captioning to help somewhat solve that problem as well. Um, so those are my documents, a little bit about the course that I teach and how they relate to the readings. Thank you for listening.